Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I'm Sheri Lopez, human trafficking survivor, founder of Pearl at the Mailbox, and founder and president of the Arizona Human Trafficking Survivor Coalition. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, we're talking about something that doesn't receive nearly enough attention, but can have a tremendous impact on a survivor's ability to rebuild their life. We're talking about criminal record relief, specifically sealing criminal records for survivors of human trafficking. This conversation is especially timing because Arizona recently passed House Bill 2720, one of the most significant anti-human trafficking bills our state has enacted in recent years. And I am so honored to have spearheaded this campaign and grateful to all the lawmakers that worked with me to get this passed. Many people know HB 2720 because it made purchasing sex from an adult a felony in Arizona. That was a tremendous step forward because demand fuels trafficking. Every time someone purchases sex, they contribute to a market that traffickers exploit for profit. Holding buyers accountable is an important part of reducing trafficking. But there was another part of HB 2720 that didn't receive nearly as much attention. The bill also included protections to recognize survivors should not spend the rest of their lives paying for crimes connected to their exploitation. It expanded opportunities for qualifying survivors to seek relief from criminal records associated with their trafficking experience. To me, that's just as important because fighting trafficking isn't only about holding offenders accountable, it's also about helping survivors rebuild their lives. Justice isn't just punishment, justice is also restoration. Today, we're going to talk about what record sealing means, how it's different from expungement or vacating a conviction, how the process works in Arizona, and why I believe we still have more work to do. So let's talk about it. A reality many people don't see. One of the biggest misconceptions about human trafficking is that survivors never commit crimes. Unfortunately, that's simply not true. Many survivors are arrested while they're being exploited. Some are arrested for prostitution-related offenses, others for drug possession, some for theft, others for fraud. Still others are arrested for crimes they were forced, manipulated, threatened, or coerced into committing. Traffickers use violence, fear, psychological control, addiction, financial dependence, and manipulation to maintain power. Yet, when law enforcement encounters the situation, they may only see the criminal offense, not the trafficking that led to it. Years later, after someone has escaped trafficking, completed counseling, built a new life, and maybe even dedicated themselves to helping others, those criminal records continue creating obstacle after obstacle. They can prevent someone from getting a job, renting an apartment, obtaining professional licenses, going back to school, even volunteering, or simply moving forward without constantly reliving one of the darkest chapters of their life. That's why record relief matters. What does it mean to seal a criminal record? A lot of people hear the phrase, record sealing, but aren't exactly sure what it means. A sealed criminal record is not erased. Instead, it's hidden from most public view. For many survivors, that means employers, landlords, and many routine background checks will no longer see those offenses. It gives survivors a better opportunity to compete fairly for employment, housing, education, and other opportunities. Perhaps most importantly, it reduces the number of times survivors have to explain crimes that occurred while they were being trafficked. Anyone who has had to repeatedly tell their story knows how exhausting it can be. Healing shouldn't require reporting old wounds every time you fill out an application. Who can still see a sealed record? Sealing a record does not make it disappear. Depending on Arizona law, sealed records may still be visible to law enforcement, prosecutors, courts, certain government agencies, and some employers working in sensitive fields such as childcare, law enforcement, or national security. So, sealing provides privacy, but it does not eliminate accountability. Sealing, vacating, and expungements. These legal terms are often used interchangeably, but they mean different things. When a record is sealed, it still exists. It's simply hidden from public view. When a conviction is vacated, the court sets aside that conviction because the legal requirement have been met. For trafficking survivors, this recognizes that the offense resulted from exploitation rather than true criminal intent. Some states also allow expungement, which generally provides even stronger relief by removing or erasing the record under state law. The exact terminology varies from state to state, but the important is this. The stronger the legal relief, the greater the opportunity for survivors to truly move forward. And that's why I continue to fight for survivors like myself. Why HB 2720 matters. One of the reasons I supported HB 2720 so strongly is because it addresses both sides of trafficking. For years, we've talked about reducing demand because demand is what keeps trafficking in business. Without buyers, trafficking becomes far less profitable. HB 2720 sends a clear message that purchasing another human being is not a harmless transaction. It carries real consequences. But the bill also acknowledges something survivor advocates have been saying for years. We cannot hold buyers accountable while leaving survivors burdened with criminal records connected to their exploitation. That's why the record sealing provision matters. They recognize that healing requires more than rescue. Healing requires opportunity to work, opportunity to find housing, opportunity to provide for your family, opportunity to move forward. I believe that's one of the most meaningful aspects of this legislation, opportunity. So, how does someone apply for record sealing in Arizona? If you're an Arizona survivor wondering where to begin, here's a general overview. First, determine whether you're eligible. Generally, you'll need to have completed your sentence, satisfied court requirements, and met any applicable waiting periods. Next, gather your case information, including your case numbers, the court where your case was handled, the documentation showing you've completed probation or other court requirements. You'll then complete the appropriate Arizona court petition. If you have multiple criminal cases, you'll generally file a separate petition for each case. After the petition is filed, The prosecutor has an opportunity to review it and may agree, object, or request a hearing. Finally, a judge determines whether granting the petition is in your best interest and serves public safety. Every situation is different, so survivors should consider consulting with an attorney or legal aid organizations to determine which type of record relief may apply to their circumstances. As you can tell, today is another one of those days where I just can't talk well. So hang with me. I appreciate it. We still have work to do, let me tell you. While HB 2720 represents meaningful progress, I don't believe our work is finished. I would like to see Arizona continue expanding record relief for trafficking survivors. That includes expanding the list of eligible offenses when they resulted from force, fraud, or coercion. Creating a survivor-specific petition process that is easier to navigate. Allowing multiple related criminal cases to be addressed in one petition instead of requiring separate filings. Reducing unnecessary legal barriers and filing costs. Prioritizing survivor benefits so people aren't waiting months or years for relief. Exploring additional opportunities for convictions directly caused by trafficking to be vacated when appropriate under law. Because survivors have already fought hard just to survive. The legal system shouldn't create unnecessary obstacles once they're free. Justice means restoration. This conversation isn't simply about legal paperwork. It's about recognizing the difference between criminal behavior and criminalization resulting from exploitation. Survivors should not spend the rest of their lives defined by what someone else forced them to do. True justice holds traffickers accountable. True justice holds buyers accountable. But true justice also removes barriers for survivors. Justice should protect and restore and give survivors an opportunity to rebuild. I want to read you an article that I recently published in support of the passing of this bill, HB 2720. And for those of you who don't know, last July 2025, myself, the Arizona Human Trafficking Survivor Coalition, lawmakers, and some community advocates got together and started talking about how do we address the demand. And this is how we ended up getting this bill passed, because we had Republicans and Democrats supporting this, which we needed to have. And then also the sealing of the records came in at the last minute. And I'm so grateful for that, because I was trying to figure out how we can accomplish that. And on its own, it probably would never have gotten traction. So thankfully, it got connected to this bill, and we got 2 wins in one. So here's the article that I wrote: Why I Fought So Hard for Buyer Accountability in Arizona, by Sheri Lopez. As a human trafficking survivor, I know firsthand that trafficking exists because there is demand. During the 7 years I was trafficked, I was bought by men, women, and couples from every walk of life. They made the decisions to buy another human being. That is why I fought so hard for HB 2720 in Arizona. Traffickers deserve to be held accountable, but my traffickers could not have continued exploiting me if no one had been willing to buy me. Every buyer created demand, put money into my traffickers' pockets, and helped keep me trapped. On June 4, 2026, Arizona became the second state in the nation to make purchasing sex from an adult a felony on the first offense. The first state was Texas. HB 2720 also expanded opportunities for eligible trafficking survivors to have eligible survivors of human trafficking to petition the court to have qualifying criminal records sealed, helping remove barriers to employment, housing, education, and other opportunities as they rebuild their lives. This achievement was the result of months of collaboration beginning in July 2025. Pearl at the Mailbox, the Arizona Human Trafficking Survivor Coalition, state legislators, survivors, law enforcement, prosecutors, and community advocates came together with a shared goal to address the demand that fuels human trafficking while strengthening protections for survivors. Human trafficking exists because there is demand. By holding sex buyers accountable through stronger penalties and expanding opportunities for survivors to move forward without the burden of qualifying criminal records, Arizona has taken an important step toward reducing exploitation and supporting those who have been trafficked. This legislation demonstrates what can happen when survivors, policymakers, and communities work together to create meaningful, lasting change. I'm so grateful for Representative Biasucci, Representative Wynn, Representative Bliss, Representative Grass, and Senator Bravo for making all of this happen. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know, as a survivor, I learned that I actually do have choices. I have choices to let what happened to me continue to control my life and the direction. And let me tell you, for a very long time, I'm talking almost 2 decades, it did, but no more. Now I'm strong enough and I'm okay sharing what happened to me to prevent it from happening to someone else. And we need people to fight right alongside us to make that happen. So, in closing, as someone who has survived trafficking and now works every day along survivors across Arizona and actually the nation, I believe HB 2720 represents an important step forward. It increases accountability for buyers. It recognizes the importance of helping survivors move beyond the criminal records connected to their exploitation. And it reminds us that combating trafficking requires both accountability and restoration. My hope is that Arizona will continue leading the way by expanding survivor protections even further in the years ahead, and I'm already working on it. To every survivor listening today, I want you to know this. Your past does not define your future. Your criminal record does not define your worth. You are more than what happened to you, and I want you to believe that. You can go on and have a beautiful life. You can go on and have a career. Do what you want. You are stronger. You survived being trafficked. You can create your future. If today's episode helped you better understand why record relief matters, please share it with someone else. The more people understand how trafficking affects survivors long after the exploitation ends, the more compassion and better laws we can build together. Until next time, I appreciate you listening to me, even on the days when I stumble. And again, you get to witness, at least while listening to the stumbles I have, the amount of times that I'd been beat in the head and the trauma that I've had to my brain. Things don't always work right. But one thing I can tell you is my drive to make a change has not gone away. So thank you all, and I hope you have a good day, and I will talk with you on the next episode.